styles don't tend to change as much as we think. And I would say over the last 10 to 15 years, we have been seeing lots of homes that look like this and also this, where the skirting and the ceilings are predominantly in a bright white and the rest of the room has a different colour. In the last couple of years, there has been a real trending home decor look, and that is colour drenching. And if you haven't come across colour drenching before, it is essentially saturating the room in one singular colour for a really bold but also gorgeous moody look in a space that is great for both small and large spaces. I am a huge fan of colour drenching. We have actually colour drenched 3 of our rooms in our renovation property. If you like interior design tips, painting and decorating ideas, then please do hit subscribe for more videos like this. Now let's get into the video. I am going to be sharing with you some snippets from our own renovation with our colour drenched rooms, ideas for your own space, and also just some reasons why colour drenching is not only a really modern way to decorate your home today, but also why it's a really good way to give the illusion of a bigger space. So I am actually sat in one of my colour drenched rooms right now. This colour behind me, which I haven't even done a reveal of yet, this room is far from finished, but we have painted this room in Weekender by Coat Paints. It is the most gorgeous kind of cappuccino coffee colour, but in certain lights you get a really strong pink undertone from it, so it's almost got kind of a plaster effect to it as well. Now, one of my main reasons that I absolutely adore colour drenching, and this is nothing to do with it being modern or it being a really favourable style right now, but if you are doing all of the paint work yourself, colour drenching is by far one of the best ways to do it because it requires no cutting in. Yes, that's right, no more spending hours trying to get the perfect line or peeling off decorator's tape. Now, I for one are absolutely terrible at cutting in, and it's just one of the most easiest ways to get paint up onto your walls. And to be honest, a lot of people might tend to lean towards doing a bright white anyway, which if you follow lots of my videos, you'll know I am not a fan of for so many reasons. But when you colour drench in another colour, it's so much easier than having to put that painter's tape on and getting that perfect line. There's no keep going back to put the other colour on, and you just get the most flawless finish. So that for me is one of my favourites, especially as we've painted this entire house ourselves. Now, my second big favourite reason about colour drenching is because it's a really good way to make a smaller space feel that little bit bigger. Now, I have done videos and also blog posts on how to make a darker, narrow hallway seem a lot bigger, and one of the best ways to do that really is picking one colour throughout that entire space, and I'm going to tell you why. When we start introducing additional colours to our skirting, our architraves, and also our ceilings, when you're in a very small space, whether it be a really small box room or if it's a long narrow hallway, your eyes are constantly being drawn to different colours, which can make it feel quite claustrophobic and even smaller in a sense. Whereas when you add that one singular colour, it creates a cohesive pull throughout that space, and it actually feels so much more relaxing. It feels calming. So if you do have a small space, colour drenching is a really good way to do that. We have just colour drenched our office space in Park Life by Coat Paints. It's a really moody green. It's in a south-facing room, so it balances that intensity of the light really well. But it's just such a good way of not only making it feel bigger, but it will make your room feel that little bit cozier as well. And in this bedroom now, this is kind of what I'd call a small double room, and it has the most coziest finish. And it's actually, you wouldn't believe it, that I'm actually sat in a north facing room right now, but the light that we do get in and also the colour we've picked, it just creates a really warm feeling, and I think you get a greater sense of that when you do colour drench a room. Now, number 3, What I love about colour drenching is it is a style that is great for small and large spaces. If you have a really large room, it can sometimes be a little bit difficult to make it feel homely and cozy, especially if it's in a living room that has exceptionally high ceilings. And this might be you if you've got a Victorian, a Georgian building, or perhaps a new build that's got really high ceilings. Now, when you colour drench in one complete colour, it actually works with making the walls and the ceiling look like they're closer together than they actually are. Whereas traditionally, if you went for a bright white ceiling, your eyes are instantly brought up to the ceiling, so it makes the space feel like it is taller than it actually is. But when you use one colour across the walls and the ceiling, it brings it all in a little bit and it makes it feel super cozy. And that for me is one of the main benefits of colour drenching, because it's suitable for small and it's suitable for large rooms as well. And number 4, colour drenching is undeniably one of the most modern ways to decorate a room right now. One of the reasons why it is more modern is because we purely have seen bright white on ceilings, skirtings and architraves for years and years now. I understand why, because it is a default fail-safe that people revert to, but it's not a modern way of doing things now. And in fact, adding some fun and colour to your room across your woodwork and also your ceilings is a really modern way of doing things. It's refreshing, it's fun, and I just think it makes any room instantly feel cozier. Now, we also did a colour drenching look in our very small downstairs toilet, and I'm just going to pop up a video of this now. I've also released the reveal on a YouTube video, which I'll link in the comments below, and it's just created the most fun space. I just adore how it looks, and it's in a sunny south-facing room, so it just balances the intensity of the sun really well. And in fact, if we were to go for a bright white ceiling, it would have just felt so intense in the space, and that just wasn't the look that I wanted to go for. Now, I'm just going to mention one more reason why colour drenching is definitely a trend you should consider right now, before I move on to some ways to really execute it well in your own home. And that is that depending on the colour you choose to colour drench with, you can really change how that room feels based on that colour, and even more so than if you were to just use that paint colour on your walls. Because if you're using white on your ceiling, that's always going to change that intensity, because it's going to balance with that colour. Whereas when you use just one colour in full saturation across that room, you really are delivering a design message based on how you want the room to feel. So in the bedroom I'm sat in now, I've chosen a colour to create a cosy and really cocooning feel. Now, I'm sat in here now and I feel like enwrapped in the colour. I want to stay in this room. It's so pretty. And when I lie up and I look at the ceiling, it feels warm. I'm not looking at a bright white clinical ceiling. And in a bedroom, it's such a good way to try colour drenching, because that is where you want to create a cozy and relaxing feel. But on the other side of colour drenching, you can also create a really moody, sultry feel with a colour. And that's if you go to the darker end of the spectrum. And I think that I demonstrated that perfectly in our sulking room pink downstairs toilet, because it's got a really rose muted feel to it, but it's got a moody, sultry, sophisticated feel. And this would work really well in spaces like a downstairs toilet, those with little light, north-facing rooms, and if you've got like a cozy cinema room or a living room that you really just want to relax in and you spend a lot of time in that space in the evening. Now, you can use any colour for colour drenching, and if you look at those moodier colours, you can go into those darker pinks, navy blues, darker greens, like all those gorgeous rich shades, and there's just so many ways you can take it. I think colour drenching is just super fun way to decorate your interior. Now, to get colour drenching right, you have to use that singular colour to saturate the entire room. So in my case here, you could say that I actually haven't fully colour drenched this room, and that's because we've got an anthracite radiator behind me, and that for me was a big thing. We've just installed these. I have no desire to paint them, and they themselves are a design accent in their own right. You don't have to paint your radiators, but a true colour drenched look in its full entirety, painting everything in this space. So if you have a traditional white panel radiator that you want to like redo, then colour drenching that as well is the best way to do that, because else it's just going to stick out and it's not going to give that desired look. So when you're painting your walls, you use a traditional emulsion paint, whereas on any woodwork you use an emulsion, and this is basically a much more hard wearing type of paint on areas that are more likely to be knocked with heavy traffic, or you know, just walking against it, putting your vacuum against it. It's just going to withstand that durability a little bit longer. Now I'm going to show you an example in our small office where I picked the exact same colour for the walls and the skirting and architraves for this colour drenched look. Now you can't see it too much maybe on the video here, but now the colour on the skirting is shinier and it looks darker than that on the wall. So for me, the colour drenched look didn't look as effective as it would if it was the same colour throughout. And I have two examples to show you of using the emulsion with the eggshell, and also where I just used the emulsion straight onto primed skirting as well. For me, if I am using a different skirting colour, I typically go 2 shades darker anyway. So in this office space, it's not the end of the world for me, but you can tell that it has a glossier look to the skirting, which traditionally eggshell paint does have, because it is that has more durability and quality to it. But it does look slightly darker. So for me, it didn't nail that completely colour drenched look, and I was a bit irritated by it. But it was a learning curve for me, because I had previously colour drenched walls and skirting in our other room, and in this room I used Farrow and Ball Dead Flat. I cannot recommend this type of paint enough, because it's a special paint that is designed to work on all surfaces from your walls to your skirting, and this I do think leans into that. They created it for that kind of colour drenched look, because you get the most perfect flat matte look on your walls and your skirting, as you'll see in our bedroom here. And it looks phenomenal. It's completely flawless. You just get the same colour on the walls and the woodwork, whereas where we've used the different paint on the skirting, you can clearly see it's actually not the same colour. So when we came to do this room that I'm in now, we chose to use the traditional wall paint onto the skirting and the architraves as well, and it looks just as good as the Farrow and Ball Dead Flat. Now of course you might think, well, your skirting's not actually going to be as durable anymore, you might have to repaint it. And to be honest, this room that I'm in right now is our guest room. It's not being used as often. We don't have a dog that comes upstairs, and we don't have children. So I'm quite happy to take the gamble on this and test it for you guys. But in terms of finish, we did need to put 2 coats onto the skirting, but honestly, it looks exactly the same as the walls, and I think it's super, super effective. So if you are trying colour drenching, just bear it in mind. It's really best to stick with the same paint that you're using on the walls, and don't go for a woodwork colour. Obviously, if you don't have primed skirting, you do still need to make sure it's primed beforehand. And I think as we move through the rest of the year and into next year, we are going to be seeing even more of colour drenching to come as it becomes more mainstream. And honestly, I have some blogs that I'm going to pop in the caption below as well, just to give you some more inspiration about colour drenching, because I think it's one of those design styles that works well in pretty much any room of the house. It can create a relaxing and cozy bedroom. It can create that cocooning, comfortable space if you want to relax in the evenings in your living room. But also it looks super, super good in a bathroom if you're not using a lot of tile in your space as well. I just think it's a much better way to using a box standard bright white on your skirting and your ceiling. I think when you use bright white on the skirting, the ceiling, and then a different band of colour in the middle, it really creates that separation. And when you step into that space, you can clearly see the divide. And in that time, it makes the space feel smaller than it is. And colour drenching is just the best solution for small and large spaces. It's on trend, and I absolutely love it. But what do you think? Do let me know in the comments below what you think about colour drenching. Is it something you try in your home? And of course, if you've got any questions or colours that you're not sure about using, what to pair with it, then please do leave me a comment below, because I always come back to my comments. I've also left all the paints that I've mentioned and featured featured in this video today in the caption below. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed watching today's video on colour drenching, and I'll see you on my next one.